It's that time, so let's take it to the Birdland. That Baltimore home flavor is coming firsthand. Fred, Scott, and Ryan, tell them the word, man. Mixing a little BS to make it work, man. Boys, they got it. On excitement, the topic. Make sure when they toss you the ball, you don't drop it. With all that swag, you're gonna listen regardless. Here comes the pitch, so it's time to get it started. It's Birdland BS.
Hey guys, brought it back this week with a little different music. We bring back the different music because we filmed it a little differently this week. We went back to the roots, our parent empire, Fred's first baby, Birdland BS, recorded live Tuesday nights and broadcasted everywhere you can think of, Facebook, YouTube, the audio podcast, or everywhere you can find them, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Play, all the good stuff. Covers Ravens, Orioles, Terps. They have the live chat room in there where you can be heard live in the show. It's just a really good time. I used to be able to get over there every Tuesday night. It's a lot of fun. It's been a little bit harder with life recently. But this week, with us headed out to Michigan, flying out to big beginnings, as you see in the show title, to see our boys off that first road Big Ten test. This week's schedule's a little tight, so Birdland is always on Tuesday nights. We kind of combine the two. You'll hear some new voices. I'm sure you've heard of them before if you've been listening to Shell and Tell for a while. Scott is his co-host for Birdland BS. You'll hear his opinions in there. And you'll hear James, a little doubter, a little hate coming from the producer chair. I don't think Drew chimes in too much, but Drew was there as well. Always good to get his takes on the Orioles and Ravens especially. He's a Terps fan, boy. You know, casual. We got to bring him back. We got a show with this win. All of a sudden, Drew all pumpy chest and put on his Terps gear and everything. You all know a Terps fan like that. You all know one that's ready as soon as we get this big win. All right, guys. Well, I got to tell you this week's episode is brought to you by Quick Stretch and Body Works. Quick Stretch Body Works helps with performance and recovery periods during both on and off seasons. The naturally formulated athletic performance and recovery lotion is an easy, effective way for athletes to prepare for skill training and workouts in full swing. Founded by Todd Smith, a former college athlete and head athletic trainer at 2 collegiate programs himself, and even some of the athletes at University of Maryland are using this lotion, including our guy, star linebacker Ruben Hippolyte II. Make sure you head over to quickstretchbodyworks.com and check it out today. That's quickstretchbodyworks.com. I think Ruben's going to need a little extra of this Quick Stretch Bodyworks lotion this week. You know, he dropped out of that game early, as we'll talk about, and they got him listed on the tube deep, but I'm not really sure we're expected to see him in Michigan. I hope he gets well very soon. We need to see him back on to CQ Field, hopefully for the MSU game. We'll see. Hopefully we'll probably have more news before then for you. But I'm really excited. You'll hear this is kind of a tale of two halves. Fred a little bit more down, myself a little bit more positive. I'm not overly confident of a win or anything, but I see a world where it happens. And that's a good place to be when you're playing a team that has a number 4 next to their name. So I can't wait to get out there. It's going to be a good time no matter what. We went out to Minnesota and got absolutely shellacked in 2019 and still had a really good time. Plan on being out there in Minnesota. If anybody of you are out there in Minnesota, want to hit us up, catch a drink, do whatever, let us know. I'm really excited to be out there. We got some great seats right behind the bench. You're going to see these big old hats sitting behind that Terps bench on TV. You'll know your boys are there. Without further ado, we'll get you over to the Birdland BS segment covering the Terps. A little Shell and Tell action with some extra guests. See y'all later.
All right, fellas, it's time to talk some Terps. It's time to talk some football. This is Shell and Tell time. It's been a minute since Ryan's been in the studio, and
I'll hang up a little bit.
we're heading down to Michigan on Friday, or headed up to Michigan on Friday. So we're not gonna have time to record a podcast. So this is going to be this week's show. A little different take on this week's show.
Yeah, I mean, It's an interesting time to be a Terps fan. We are 3-0, but it doesn't feel all that great.
Yeah,
Fred feels worse than I do, and we'll get into that as we go through this.
Yeah, now 3-0 in the season after the 34-27 win at home over SMU on Saturday night. Game was pretty entertaining as we thought it would be. A good bit of points, still well below what the over was. I thought the over was way too high on this to begin with. At 73.5, they ended up coming in at 61, so below the over/under. A lot of back and forth in this game. But before we talk the game, man, I want to talk about the game day experience because, again, we do harp sometimes on.
Fred was very critical before this game.
I have. I mean, when we first pulled into the parking lot, there may have been
9 people,
10 cars in the parking lot. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so much worse than Buffalo, which Buffalo was terrible.
And that was a home game.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a home
gotcha.
game too, right? And I'm thinking, oh man, this is going to be awful. There's not going to be anybody at this game. Quickly, the tailgating lot started to fill up a little bit, so it gave us a little bit more hope as we're walking up to the stadium. So kudos to the student section for actually coming out and showing up. Now, it is a college atmosphere, and these are college students, right? So time isn't really of the essence with these guys. So when you watch the opening kickoff and they do all the panning of the stadium and all that stuff, it looked pretty bad on TV in the very beginning of the game. But once we got about 3 to 5 minutes into the game and the fans actually started to come in, I thought the student section filled out really nicely.
Yeah, student section did fill out nicely, and more importantly than that, they stayed.
Yeah.
A good 90% of them stayed throughout the game, which was the most impressive part of all
Did you see any of them almost get beat up by the opposing team's fans? Like we did against Buffalo?
We had a couple fans asked to leave. It seems like some students made it over to the visitors' bench. They were talking a little bit too much shit. And like you would expect a Texas team to do, they brought their own Texas Ranger there. I have no idea how they had their own police officer
What's that
with a
jurisdiction?
gun. Exactly.
What
How
does it
he
matter?
get to
You
carry
can't
a
do
gun
anything.
in this stadium right now?
Right.
You're a police officer thousands of miles away.
So
I
if
didn't understand it.
if he's a state trooper, it's reciprocity. They actually can cross state lines.
Well,
state troopers.
He talked some
doctor.
shit and he got the rest of the cops to go move, which is funny because the week before at Buffalo, the last home game, there was fans that were just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of in my section's a ton of visitors.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, especially for these lower teams, are parents or family of these people. So it can get pretty heated if people are talking trash to the wrong kid next to auntie or uncle over here.
As we saw at Buffalo.
We saw at Buffalo, they did not remove these guys. They just let it happen the whole time. The only reason they got moved was because Texas Ranger tapped the PG County cop and was like, get these assholes out of here.
All right, and I know last week's show, you specifically, we were critical of the choice of them having family night on a 7:30 game, right? And we were also critical on game day experience during the Buffalo game, and we were kind of disappointed with just the lack of newness, right? The lack of creativity with this new Jumbotron and just trying different things to get fans engaged and to bring more attraction to the game day experience. Well, all of that actually left me pretty pleasantly surprised after this game because, one, there were a lot of 5-year-olds that made it through this game, Ryan, that were there. And
Not
surprisingly,
a lot, but there
was a good
some.
bit. There was a good bit. There was a whole middle school in the upper deck that made it through.
That's what I said.
as
Bring
hot
the
as the
middle
Buffalo
schools
game.
out.
They were there. They were there. There
No,
was
it
some,
was great. Weather was awesome.
weather was freaking fantastic.
I picked the wrong game.
They said that the family area was just like basically an overgrown bounce house. Basically, it wasn't really anything crazy. But I will tell you this: the talent on the face painting girls was immense. Like both Lily and Emma got their face painted, and I've never seen face painting this detailed. And
Yeah, it was like Hollywood level face painting.
It was really good, like sticker
So
almost.
the theater department of the
theater
student section
department
showed up.
definitely was the one taking care of that.
Yes.
He said it was a bounce house, the face paint, a DJ, but it was not kids' music. It was the same club music they play in the stadium.
Oh God!
So
I am so over the go-go
and they
music.
definitely downsized the heck out of it. It was up by the Terp and Club tailgating lots. It wasn't down on the soccer fields like it was I guess 2 years ago, whatever it was, when we brought all the kids out to like run the 40s and all that. But they did have some things, and I will eat my words a little bit on the last show. realizing, what else goes into this and thinking about it, that clearly this was planned before the year, which one was going to be the game because of the bands, because of the baton twirler kids, because of all those things that I kind of forgot went on other than the pregame festivities.
Right.
So, I still think maybe you should have taken $2 million less and not had it at 7 p.m. and taken whatever TV slot they offered you at 3:30 or noon. But, beggars can't be choosers. My girls made it through it. The end of the middle of the third quarter, Emma, I turn around and she is laying across my 4 padded seats that we have there, and with a jacket over top her. I'm like, "You tired?" She's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "It's okay. You can go to sleep." And I turn around. And not 3 minutes later, was she standing next to me cheering again? It was like
she needed a cat nap. She needed the quickest cat nap period.
And then get my energy back to go again. And they were there singing the Maryland song with the players at the end, still chilling. So proud of the girls.
It was good, and like I said, the stuff that they did on the video board and whatnot was a lot more interactive and fan engagement than they did on the Buffalo game. So
there was nothing new for Buffalo. They saved it all for this game. I think they knew how bad the fan attendance was going to be, and was just like, just roll out the old shit.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if it messes up during that game.
Yeah. So I was really pleasantly surprised with all that. But
there's still room for improvement, but definitely better. We got new go-go music, too.
Oh, fuck the go-go music. I'm so done with that. Sorry, DC sports fans. And sorry, DC music fans. I know you guys love that go-go stuff. I cannot tolerate it. It's been around too long. I cannot stand it. It's terrible. But whatever. You do you.
I was pro go-go. I was like, this is what you got to do, Fred, is what it is.
If it brings the crowd, cool.
And at the end of the song, it starts saying, "Fear the Turtle" in the go-go music. So that is going to be a staple. That was a customized go-go song for the entry. So Fred's going to have to hear that for the rest of time at now CQ Stadium.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So speaking of needing work, right, let's talk about this game a little bit, right? Obviously, like I said, the Terps end up winning this one 34-27. And offensively, I thought they looked very good. Talia had a very good game in this game. But the Terps really, honestly, tried to give this game away. One of the worst disciplined games I've ever seen. And this has been an ongoing issue with this team. It's not just this season. Really, this has been under Loxley and this entire era. 15 penalties in this game for 141 yards. If SMU didn't do enough already, putting up 520 yards of offense, then you give them 141. You're talking 700 total yards that you gave SMU in this game. Magically, you somehow still won
700 yards and an L. What is this? It's still
I get
an
it.
L.
I don't give a
Still
shit.
an L, James.
You've got to play disciplined football, and I can tell you now, I don't care what Big Ten team you line up. 15 penalties isn't going to win a single Big Ten game.
If you can't keep disciplined against a team like SMU, what the hell are you going to do against Michigan?
Exactly. And listen, I'm not trying to discredit SMU because SMU is a good football team. I think they're one of those fringe top 25 teams. So I'm not trying to discredit what this team was able to persevere over, but it doesn't mean that we just get to glaze over this because they got the W. There's a lot of issues, and one of those issues, and I hate calling out names. I've never been that guy to call out names, but this guy deserves to be his name called out.
Turn it off now.
Yeah,
if you're a mom,
Nicole, if you're listening, I know you're a fan of the show. I know you retweet a lot of our stuff. And listen, please don't take this the wrong way because I love Jayshon. I love Jayshon Jones. I love him as the player, but
so much fun to watch.
He is. He's so fun. He's electric. But man,
he's had a lot of years to learn.
At this point, if I'm Coach Locks, I'm not letting him travel with the team. He does not play in Michigan if I'm Coach Locks. These continued unsportsmanlike penalties haven't just been an issue this year. It's been an issue every time he gets on the football field since his freshman year.
Yep, since game 2 of his career.
It's the Coach Locks hasn't done enough with not just him, but with this team to use somebody as an example. And Jayshon Jones needs to be it. You're talking about a position that we actually have a plethora of options at wide receiver. I'm not saying that there are better options than Jayshon as far as the player. Receiver. He is a great receiver, so please don't take that the wrong way. But something needs to happen to get into this kid's head. I don't know what you're saying to him on the side. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know what you're saying to him on the sideline or in practices, but it's not sticking. It's not working. You have to punish him in a way, and take him out of a meaningful game. I know it sucks and it puts you in a bad position, but again, it's a position where you have some depth. You have to use them as an example.
It's a mental thing with that point. If you're having that many issues, it's one of those things you're letting your emotions take a hold
1,000%.
of everything that's happening. And at this level, here's the thing, like, you know, and I know that you were saying that the piece about don't take it personally. It's not a personal dig, but it is, hey, we want to see Jay Sean Jones go to the NFL, go to the next level. But if he continues down this path, what do you think teams are going to do?
He's going to get flagged as fouls than he had catches.
He's going to get flagged as a problem player on the field. When you're a problem player off the field, that plays a factor. When you're a problem player on the field, it's an even bigger issue, no matter how talented you are, because you start penalizing your team.
It's always the same type of stuff. It's always one-upping or showing up the next player. Like, I get it. Like, I love.
They call.
Hold on. I love the players that play with intensity and play with that chip on his shoulder. And my God, he must have the biggest chip on his shoulder that I've ever seen of a player. But you have to rein that in and you have to control that because, again, when you go up against these big teams, you're in a critical year, especially for Loxley. Think about this selfishly for a minute if you're Coach Lox, right? You have to show improvement year in and year out. You cannot afford to have a personal foul penalty cost you a game and then potentially miss out on a bowl because then you're going to have all the fan base calling for your name and wanting your job and getting you out of there because things are going down and not improving. So you have to nip this in the butt. You're fortunate enough that this didn't cost you the game and they were somehow able to figure out a way to win this game, but you can't have this carry on and continue to be an issue.
And we're going to get on the refs for some of their ticky-tack bullshit around here. But
true.
On Jay Sean's side, for every one they call, there's 3 other plays where I'm yelling at Fred, get Jay Sean out of there.
Yeah.
Somebody grab Jay Sean. Get him out of his face. So this is not just one-off problem.
It's not an isolated
thing. He could have
thing.
had 5 personal fouls this game.
Yep.
Like, it just, so there are other things.
He is fortunate that he has teammates that are aware of Jay Sean and his issues because there have been plays where his teammates have saved him from those flags. So, yeah, that's a great point because he could have had 5 or 6 of them in this game.
The dangers that you take in a conference like the Big Ten or SEC, whatever you want to look at, you're going to have the top-tier teams, a team like Michigan. You don't think Harbaugh is looking at the video going, chat him up.
Yeah, 100%.
Run your mouth. Chat him up.
At the game the other day, I said it's part of the game plan at this point.
100%.
These
They're
other
watching
teams are assigning someone
Yeah.
to go chat, to talk up
Run
Jay
them
Sean,
out, yeah.
to give him a dig, to poke him in the ribs, to
Poke
do
the bear,
something
poke
dirty.
the bear,
But
poke the bear.
He's the bear that will bite you back and get the
That's what
flag.
they're doing.
It is literally in the game plan. I promise you can get a hold of anyone in the country at this point. Jay Sean Jones is a free 15-yard penalty in their game plan.
All right,
Yeah.
and rant. That's it. I said we needed to go in on it because it needed to be addressed. I don't think anybody has talked about it enough, but that's it. Let's move on to, penalties don't start and end with Jay Sean. There was 15 of them
They didn't
called.
have 141 yards of it.
No, there were 15 called in this game, and it starts with, again, fundamental, disciplined things. False starts on the offensive line, particularly Mason Lumsford in this game, who I had, I think, 2, maybe even 3 against him in this game.
Yeah, poor kid.
I love Mason. Again, it's not a shot at the player, but these are things that you got to keep under control. Like, this can't be an issue week in and week out. Again, they are the most, I think last year they finished as the 2nd most penalized team in the Big Ten. They're on pace to be the most penalized team in the Big Ten again this year. This needs to stop.
It definitely needs to stop, and it's not just Mason. We talked about it. Jalen Duncan, your number 1 tackle, supposedly the 3rd best in the NFL, or for a day 1 tackle, has gotten way too many penalties on his side of the ball. I don't understand it. Holds, illegal hands to face, false starts. The offensive line has been punished heavily this year.
So, question, because that obviously has been something that you guys have talked about, on the show a few times now with this offensive line. Is that a result of potential, and I'm asking you because I don't know, is that a result of potential changes in the cadence of Talia in order to try to offset and take his game to the next level?
Talia's been there for 2.5 years now at this point. Like, the cadence, I don't think has anything to do with it. And again, this is an offensive line group that's returned from last year. So
I just ask because sometimes when you see that many penalties from the offensive line, it's because there was a change made in cadence to try to draw teams offside, do things, and it winds up at some point hurting the offensive line because if they're not used to it, it's there. That's why I asked the
I don't know,
question.
Ryan, what's your
I don't
take
know.
on
You
that?
guys would
There
know
were
that.
2 4th-and-1s that it happened on, so very well it could have been because your cadence is going to be more aggressive in those
try
situations.
to get
somebody to
jump.
Okay.
But if you watch the announcers on TV and you watch, Scott can read lips too. Apparently, he said that on the show before. If the 4th-and-1 play, the player jumped off sides and he got in his face and said, "What are you blocking? There's no play."
Right.
They were literally just lining up to draw him off sides, and
He jumped.
And he jumped.
Yeah.
Like,
So Googs brings up a point. He said they were all when the D line does that shift shit and they just flinch too.
100%.
So, and you're right. I've seen that
well,
multiple
that's in
times.
the game plan too now.
Exactly.
Michigan gonna dance like ballerinas out there in front of him.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go in for a minute on the refs because, again, yes, it was a problem for the team with their shooting themselves in the foot. But listen, the Zebras weren't doing us any favors in this game either.
No, the Zebras weren't doing us any favors at all. What did we say? 15 for 141 versus us?
Yep.
I think they had 4 for 30. And let me tell you, not evenly called on the pass interference at all. They were letting them hand check the absolute shit out of us. We couldn't. Their players were allowed to just run downfield, their quarterback underthrow the ball because he was not as good as advertised, and they just run face first into us for a penalty every play. Well, so that was automatic 15 yards. They had not a single holding call when their offensive line was not the caliber it's going to stop Maryland without a hold. I'm sorry. We all know there's holds on every play, so there's different calibers of holds. But you can't go a whole game when you're undersized and undermanned without a holding call.
Right.
What are you talking about? Like, and it really seemed like the refs were there to protect little brother from big brother. The one call that I go back to is the 15-yard penalty against the other Jason Barham,
Right.
Who got the 15-yard personal foul by the female ref there with no physical contact. I don't know what he said, but it takes an awful lot of talking to get a personal foul in my experience. And everything we've heard from Ahmed is this kid doesn't talk to anybody, much less talking trash in the situation. So I just can't see it. That when I watch it back on TV, he had like a little wrist push, like a nothing. Like, I mean,
it was ticky-tack for
15
sure.
yards for that on, mind you, a 4th down stop. They had turned the ball over if they don't make that call. And there were so many of those. The touchdown that Jay Sean got his personal foul on, was the personal foul his fault? 100%. But then they had already called back for a hold that God knows where it was because I saw nothing on the giant reboard replay. So instead of it being a 15-yard penalty on the kickoff, where we have the best kicker in the world that can put it in the stands from the 15-yard penalty anyway, it ends up being a 25-yard foul, and we're out of field goal range and lose 3 points. It was unreal how taxing these penalties were. It was
15-yard penalty, being a jackass.
It was.
I mean,
every calls this
bro,
bad since the last year of the ACC. I haven't.
You guys know I have anxiety issues, right? Well, the entire night after like about the second quarter, every time like there was any success on the Maryland side, I waited and like held my breath for 3 seconds after the play, like waiting for a flag to fall from somewhere.
We even had the touchdown, and Fred goes, "Not going to believe it till they snap the ball again." We sat there without because they had multiple reviews on us too that got reversed in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It felt gross.
Googs brought up another point. He said Nashami got clotheslined at least like 3 different times in this game and it were called.
Fully just dragging people. It was bad. It was really bad. Now we will be little brother next week, so hopefully the refs take the same fucking route and protect little brother next week.
All right, before we move on to Michigan real quick, because I know we've been, listen, we're being pretty critical of a game that the Terps win 34-27. It was a must-win game. It was one of those when we talked about, we broke the schedule down in the boxes. It was you have to win. You must win this game. The Terps were able to do that. They win all 3 games that they must win. As critical as we are in this game, there was a lot of good to pull from this game too, right? And we talked about this young group of kind of unproven running backs, but we knew they had a lot of talent, but we didn't know which one was going to stand out of the group. Well, we have a guy who is now head and heels above everybody else. Roman Hemby is the real fucking deal. 16 carries for 151 yards, a tutty, averaged 9.4 yards a carry in this game. Unreal. And not to mention catching the ball out of the backfield as well. 4 catches for 62 yards, 15.5 yards a clip. This guy is next level.
Isn't he averaging like 9.2 for the season?
Close to it. Close to it. I mean, the guy is unreal right now. He's again head and heels above everybody, and that's not to discredit anybody else on this team right now.
Still great.
Littleton's still great. McDonald's
had
just
a bad fumble.
Got to hold on to the ball
every time he got destroyed. Anyone would have fumbled that ball. That hit was nasty. See a lot of good things on the offense. Like we said, Talia and the wide receivers had a really good game. Put up a bunch of yards. You have to when you let up 700 yards to win a game. And even though we're cracking on what the defense did, it was a lot better.
Yeah.
It was and what it makes me most excited, which is kind of I think where we disagree on, like you looking at what happened to me being the prognosis of the future greatness, is that the people that got better are the freshmen. The people that got better are your Gavin Gibsons, your Bo Braid, or your younger players that are coming into their
Bo Braid
spot.
is playing next level.
That are showing they know how to play these positions, and that's what has me go. We did have one problem. I said on the last episode, this was gonna be the type of game like Penn State where one receiver could beat us, and they almost let it happen because their Penn State receiver, number 11, Rice, had 193 yards against us.
Yeah, I just don't understand why there shouldn't be an emergency plan to just bracket anybody who is isolating you and just destroying you individually. I don't understand why that's a problem. We can't just eliminate
Penn State
it.
game, and it almost cost us this game
For sure, absolutely. That is my one drawback defensively is that they weren't able to keep the one guy from killing you.
He had 11 receptions. The next highest was 4 for 42 or 1 for 51.
Right.
We weren't worried about anybody else. Just stop him.
Right.
11 for 193 is insane, no matter how good they are.
All right, so we talked about the wide receiver core. We talked about the issues of Jayshon Jones. It was good to see Rakim Jarrett get on the board and get his first touchdown, a very similar route like the one that he ran in Penn State for 2 touchdowns 2 years ago. So it's good to see him kind of get off the snide and get his first touchdown of the year.
We talked about tight end uses in the last episode.
Corey
and that got a lot more
Dyches,
important.
6 catches for 32 yards in this game. And mind you, I don't give a shit about the yardage. The most impressive catch was his ability on that, was it 4th down or 3rd?
It was 4th down.
4th down to not only catch the ball, but then drive his way forward the extra half a yard and twist his body around to lunge forward to get just enough for the first down. The awareness of where he is on the field to make that play was huge for this team.
Yeah, that had me all kinds of hype. I was on the sidelines yelling, flexing. Oh, that's man shit. That's man shit. I was the most excited I was in the whole game. No touchdown rivaled what I felt in that moment.
For sure. Absolutely. Now, one thing that I am a little bit, I don't want to say disappointed. I know it's only 3 games into the year, but I think we both had some pretty high hopes for Dante Demas going into this year and what his impact could be on this offense. 1 catch for 5 yards, another drop pass. Things just aren't looking right and clicking well for Dante right now.
Yeah, I mean, we had very low expectations at the beginning of the offseason. We weren't even sure he'd be back at this point. We weren't sure he'd be playing at this point. But when you tell us he's a full go in camp, when you have videos of him dunking a basketball, I'm expecting
Dante Demas.
85, 90% of Dante Demas.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be 80% of 2 years ago Dante Demas, but this isn't who we saw last year. This isn't that world beater.
Why it was so important in this game is I felt like going into the 3rd week, he needed that confidence booster before taking on Michigan and going into Big Ten play. That's why I thought.
He almost had it. One catch.
I know.
That was like a 55-yard play, and he's standing by himself. It goes right through 2 hands at waist level. I don't know.
I don't know. That to me, that would have given the confidence that he needed going into the week, and I would have felt a lot better about him. But listen, Dante Demas, we know what he can do.
It's not an effort thing like it was against Charlotte, because that 1 catch for 5 yards should have been 1 catch for 1 yard, and he bulldozed some people. So, but the man is there. He wants to be there. It's not clicking yet.
All right, man. Well, let's talk a little bit about this upcoming week's battle. This, again, the first Big Ten game of the year. You've got Michigan. We're going on the road.
James doesn't believe.
Up to Michigan. Right now, Michigan favored by 16.5 on the money line. plus 500 for the Terps. ESPN has us at just over 15% chance to win. So you're saying there's a chance. The over, the under is 65.5. Ryan, how you feeling about this game?
Oh, well, I got my money line at 550, so I'm good to go. I do not expect to win, but I do think we can win. This is not like that Ohio State game where we were down by 1 point. I had no expectations of being anywhere near that. I thought I was going to lose by 28 that day. Never thought there was a world that we could have almost took it to overtime.
That was at home though.
It was at the home, road, doesn't matter. We get our ass beat by Penn State at home and we beat them on the road. That's how that record has worked. I don't know why, but that's just what it's been. Almost all of our wins have been in Happy Valley. So the home road doesn't worry me all that much. I'm going to be at Big Blue Stadium in the big house.
Big house, 117,000 people doesn't worry you at all.
It says 107,000, but it's noon, and I'm not sure how might be. I hope 107,000 are there because I want to experience it. And I hope 107,000 or 106,997 people are really sad, and the three of us just chilling. I just don't know they're proved yet. I mean, Michigan is 3-0, but completely untested. Their opponents have a combined record of 1-9. In Colorado State, who I accidentally bought tickets to. so I'm glad I didn't go to that game. Hawaii and UConn, it doesn't even have Randy Edsel anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of out of conference schedule is that? It's just kind of embarrassing. This is probably the best offense, or this is probably the best defense we've played, but I'm just not sold it's the best offense. I think SMU might be.
All right, so let's talk about the team individually a little bit. Let's talk about the offense. Like you said, probably one of the best offenses we played so far, but really, I mean, SMU was the best offense that we've played up until now. We haven't been tested. You can go right down the list with us, too, and say, how tested are we at 3-0 as well?
Hey, Charlotte got to win.
Indiana's 3-0. Rutgers 3-0. So there's a lot of teams that are 3-0 right now that, the records really don't mean a whole lot. I like where we're at right now offensively, but defensively we've got a lot of question marks going into this game. So what challenges does this Michigan team present offensively? What starts at the quarterback position, which right now they're kind of running this 2-quarterback system. Obviously, what's his name? Chad McNamara. He's been there for a while. He's a senior, right? But they've kind of limited his opportunities this year. He's 14-25 for 180 yards, 56% completion percentage, a touchdown and an interception. They've gone more to the sophomore quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. He's 30-34, which is 88%, 473 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. But what he presents a little bit more of that dual threat because he does have 7 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown as well. So he presents a little bit more of a challenge than what we've seen in the past couple of years with McNamara.
Yeah, I'm just not sold they're ready yet. Like I said, they didn't play anybody, and they barely played against them. For the entire year, McNamara has 34 attempts. Talia had 31 in Charlotte alone.
Okay.
This guy is in preseason form. That's my only thing. If we were playing Michigan 3 or 4 weeks from now, I'd have very little hope. My thing is, I don't know if they've seen anything like what they're going to see from the Terps offense.
And they've admitted that themselves in press conference as well. They're the number 4 ranked team, but they haven't been tested, and they don't know if they deserve that ranking right now, and this is going to be their first test.
Think of all they lost. I mean, yes, were they in the playoff field last year? Awesome. Of course I'm jealous of that. I wish we were in the playoff.
Right.
But they lost 2 players in the top 5 picks of the NFL draft. I mean, that's not just a snap your fingers. That's not every team can replace that. Even if you're stacking 5 stars upon 5 stars, not all those 5 stars hit. Those 2 clearly had hit. So, I mean, it's an unknown team. I'm hoping we can surprise them. If we win, it's a high-scoring game, of course. I'm not delusional enough to think our defense is just going to snap their fingers and hold these guys to 300 yards. But I do think that it could be a run-and-gun, Ohio State-type, last person to touch the ball shootout.
Yeah.
And that's where my hope is, and I'm going to hold on to it. And the other thing is, if we get blown out versus Michigan, there's still a chance they are the number 4 team in the nation. So, honestly, this game can't hurt me either
I was
way.
about to say, Ryan's setting himself up so he can't be upset no matter what
100%
happens.
If we lose badly, I will just convince myself they're the number 4 team in the nation.
Yeah.
And we don't belong as the number 4 team in the nation right now. So, it is what it is. They are who we thought we were, But I'm not convinced that number. I don't think they're convinced of that number. And I 100% know we're the best team that they've seen. And this will be the best defense we see, but that was an awfully damn good offense we just played. We did get tested last week.
No, I fully agree with you in that. We did get tested, probably a little bit more tested than Michigan is going into this game. They also have got a decent running back in junior Blake Corum, 5'8", 210 pounds. He's averaging 6.9 yards a carry right now, but beyond him, they don't have a rotation of backs like what we do. So their bell cow is definitely Blake, and it ride or die with him. So if our defensive front can figure out a way to slow him down, that's just another way that this Maryland team can kind of keep themselves in the game, at least, longer than, 10 minutes.
And the run stoppage on the defense has been our number one thing. That has been pretty good.
It's been decent.
Our defensive line is not getting to the quarterback, but the line of scrimmage is not moving. They are not getting pushed.
Yeah.
So that's helpful. If we can shut that down again, he got 6.9 versus nobody's. If we can get that down below 4, make them be one-dimensional, then we're just looking and hoping we can be opportunistic like we were last week. We're not going to stop them, but maybe we can get these tip balls, these pass deflections, these interceptions. We've been leading the nation in pass breakups. We have active. What have we been saying for locks for years? We have been getting long corners. It's who he gets. They're all 6'1", 6'3" corners. That's who he's been picking up. Right. So even when they're out of position, they got a chance. And that's what we've been seeing. And hopefully we can continue down this path. Our problems have not been consistent this year. We've had bad things every game, but it's a new bad thing. If we can put it all together, we can shock the world.
Yeah, even we talk about the skill position guys on our team, right? The wide receivers and everything. There's really nobody on this team, wide receiver wise, that really scares me a whole lot. Not like the kid Rice did from SMU. No. They don't have good receivers. They don't have that Dotson or Rice kind of receiver.
There's no first round draft pick on this team.
They've got a couple of 6-foot guys, and Roman Wilson and Ronnie Bell. They got a 6'3" guys to more their red zone target, the Cornelius Johnson. But they don't have. They've got a group of decent wide receivers. They don't have that standout guy that we have to worry about. The one.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for the game. I'm excited for the trip. I'm not as optimistic as you are, but I'm also kind of in the same position. I'll be ecstatic if we somehow stay in this game, we have a chance to win, but I'm not going to be disappointed if we lose because I fully expect us to lose this game. At least that's just the way I view it right now.
I'm emotionally hedging, I'll admit it.
All right, man. So let's talk about the predictions for this week then. How do you see it shaking out? Do the Terps actually hang in this game long enough, and do you think they actually have a shot at winning?
I really do. I'm not going to project a win here because I'm just not going to be that guy throughout the whole thing. But there's really things when you look at these statistics, even against the garbage teams they've played, that I'm just not impressed with. They only have 9 passes defended. That's Deonte Banks' first game for the Terps. If you're playing this nobody competition, why are you not doing better than that? They only have 1 interception. So, Talia finally cleaned up, had no interceptions.
Ryan, how many interceptions did we have before last week?
None. Okay. But you're telling me they're the number 4 team in the nation against no one's? No one's giving us that credit.
Right.
I'm just telling you, this number 4 to me is fake.
Okay.
I felt that way about Notre Dame at the beginning of the year, and then I backtracked when they came in close with Ohio State, and I've been proven right. They can't beat anybody. They're terrible. So these rankings are not always good. So I'm hoping that number 4 sitting next to Michigan's name turns into a 24 after we beat them and take the number 22 spot. But I'm going to be more realistic this week. I'm going to take a 24-35 loss.
24-35 loss. Okay.
So I can see a little higher than that, but
if we were playing in a neutral stadium or if we were playing at home, I'd like our chances a lot better. I haven't seen Leah step up to the plate when the stakes are high, especially in a hostile environment on the road with 100-some thousand fans screaming out and loud. I think that this game gets in Leah's head, especially if Michigan comes out and scores early and Leah feels like he's got to carry this team to try to keep them in the game. I got a feeling that this game could get ugly, and it could get ugly kind of quick. I hate to be that guy, and I hate to be the negative Nancy, but That's what I worry about. I know he's super efficient and his completion percentage is high and all that, but again, how tested is he really against some of the defenses that he's played against? This is going to be one of the best defenses that they play all year, even with some of the losses that they've had this year. And again, on the road in front of 100,000 people, I don't know. This has just got one of those feelings of being an ugly game. I think the Terps lose this one 48-24.
All right. Before we wrap this up, though, because obviously me and you are in two different headspaces about this team.
Yeah.
The preseason's over. Like you said, we did our job.
Right.
We beat the three teams that we needed to beat for both of our preseason projections to possibly be true.
Mm-hmm.
I want to update these season projections. I want to know where your head is at for the rest of the year. Where does this team end up win-wise?
I still feel like they can get to that 7-win regular season, 8-win with the bowl. I haven't changed that. I just don't think that one of those wins was or is Michigan, not on the road.
So, and you had them beating Wisconsin on the road and losing to Michigan and losing to Penn State, right? I think that's what you were.
I think that's what it was. I have to go back and check, but yeah.
And any changes to how you see other teams too? Anybody else? You still think Wisconsin's the win? I think your bet looks better now than it did then.
Yeah, I still think Wisconsin's the win. No, I mean, like I said, the bottom half of the league, the games that we're checking off as automatic wins, Rutgers 3-0, Indiana 3-0. We won't know what their true colors look like until they get more tested too. So ask me in another week or two and I'll tell you. But as of right now, no, I still think that the games are still going to shake out the way that I thought that they would shake out. They've done that so far.
Northwestern's probably a little better than we thought they were going to be.
Maybe a little bit. Now Indiana doesn't.
No, but that's a
worry
win,
me.
right?
That's a win.
Indiana's a win.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about Purdue?
Purdue's winnable.
That's winnable, yeah.
Purdue is
That's
winnable.
on the road, right?
That was in our coin flip section.
Yeah.
We gave half those in. So.
Iowa's winnable.
Ooh. Say Iowa?
Mm-hmm.
Iowa doesn't score points.
Yeah,
We score points.
They scored like 9
I think
points a game.
Iowa's almost a lock at this point.
I'm not gonna say it's a lot, but it's winnable. Either way, regardless, we'll get
We
into
got
more
a lot
predictions.
Of anger over last year.
We'll get into more predictions as we get a little bit further into the Big Ten play. But right now, I still think that they're on par for 7
All right,
wins.
I just
8
want
with
to
the
see
bowl.
because just today you felt a lot more negatively than I did.
I feel negative about this game, and I feel negative about not seeing this team playing more disciplined football. I thought that with all these players coming back and having another year of continuity and knowing going into the offseason how much the penalties were an issue last year, that would be corrected, and it hasn't. That's frustrating.
It is
Are these
frustrating.
hats going to be packed this week?
Or what?
Are these hats going to be packed?
Oh, 100% these hats.
Okay, so
We're going to have to figure out how we're going to pack them. It's going to need a loose suitcase of its own.
Just hand me the hats, Fred. I'll take care of it. We'll be all right.
Just wear it on as your carry-on.
Yeah.
But-
I like it.
But I
Don't
guarantee
give
I'll
him
be
any
looking for
ideas.
your hat. No, I'm going to be looking for the hat on Saturday.
all right.
But
There.
I guarantee, just wear your hat on the plane. It'd be perfect.
My thing is, we knew at the beginning of the year that we were going to have a bad defense or a below average defense.
Oh, right,
in
John.
Iowa.
We don't play Iowa
We-
this year. That's right.
We said,
I was sitting here looking at the.
Sitting here looking at the stats and saying,
we need Iowa back. Put them in the bowl
For some
game.
reason, I thought they played Iowa this year.
So I think we knew we were going to be in 45-54 shootouts at the beginning of the year. I'm still there with it. And I feel like this game, as bad as it was, shows us we have the talent to overcome ourselves. And that nothing can go worse than this game. We had 2 fumbles inside our own 30. We had a defensive middle linebacker go out on the very first drive of the game. We had 141 yards of penalties. We had Dante Demas dropping a wide open 60-yard bomb to ice the game. We had to, after as bad as our defense was, they needed 2 defensive stands to win it, and they got it done. These guys have no quit in them. I think being on the road is going to make that even better. They're going to be even more motivated and more into it. I still am in that 7-8 win mark, and I'm still looking really forward to this season.
But Michigan
Oh, yeah,
State
I'm definitely looking
is a
forward to
winnable
it.
game since it's at home, right?
What's that?
Michigan State's a winnable game, right?
Michigan State's a winnable game.
That's what
Unfortunately,
I
won't
told
be
Fred
there,
this
but-
morning, is that I won't be sad until we lose both these games in a row.
Which they did announce that Michigan State's going to be the Scripps uniform game, which I'm sad to say I won't be there for, so I won't get to enjoy that. It's my favorite uniform, but That's cool that they're bringing it back. I wish that was more of the staple. John and I got into this discussion earlier about it, saying that they should be or shouldn't be the uniform. That's the standard. John's more of the they would just get old and nobody would like them after a while.
I think they should be 2 weeks. The white ones and the red ones should be worn every year. You got 10 other years. That's what makes Maryland cool is all the uniforms.
Yeah, I agree that there should be a rotation of uniforms. I do agree with that. But when you think of like some of the most historic and some of the most prestigious programs, right? It's the more basic uniforms. Like when you think of Penn State, their uniform is basic. When you think of Alabama, their uniform is basic. Ohio State, their uniform is basic. Michigan, their uniform is basic. Those are the uniforms that are the ones that stick. It's these tchotchke uniforms, these like the Oregons and whatnot who change their underwear every fucking game. It's a different fucking color combination.
They don't wear the same combination twice.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's a different combination every week. You either need to commit to that or get away from it and go to the standard, which should be the scripts, in my opinion. I like the pride, but I just think that that's kind of the over-the-top, like, that should be the once a year, twice a year uniform, not the everyday.
I want to bring back the shell helmet. I like that one, too.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it was a good show. It was a good week for us. I mean, listen, it was a lot of fun being down there at the stadium. It was great to see the packed house. So hopefully you guys.
I won't call it a packed house. The student section was
packed. For Maryland, it was a packed house. For Maryland, without Penn State or without Ohio State fans filling the rest of the stadium,
it was a
packed
showing,
house.
But it was not a packed house. We can do better, but it was a good start. And everyone that was there, the engagement was great. We missed the number one thing. One more thing. They brought back rock and roll.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
Hey, you suck.
It got better and better as the game went on.
At the beginning of the game, you could tell some people didn't know. They're like, wait, I didn't go to a Maryland game in 2003.
I think this sounds familiar.
And like, so there was like, a couple hundred people leading it, and then a couple thousand people leading it. And then when we got ahead with 5 minutes left, there was a good 20,000 people chanting, hey, you suck. Yeah. We're going to beat the hell out of you, and you. And it was intimidating. It's what we need. The Big Ten doesn't give a shit about us. The Big Ten's got all their history and all their classicness and all their. PG County needs to be brought to the Big Ten. We need to be different. We need to be more aggressive. Fuck the sportsmanship. Make it intimidating to come to College Park. I hope it stays forever. And if you write a letter, you better write a letter to me before you write a letter to the athletic department because we're going to have a conversation. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed that. A little bit different segment this week. Didn't have Ahmed on. He was busy with another prior engagement. He was on a Michigan podcast talking to them about the Terp side of things. So it'll be good to hear that, get some more viewpoints going on this game. It's good with all the interaction between the different Big Ten teams, different podcasts, different things going on. I'm excited for a lot of things going around in Terps world. As we talked about, there's a little bit of improvement in stadium. We got a brand new name the next time we get down to the stadium. We got CQ. A little bit of money never hurt nobody. Little $11 million deal. Hopefully they take about $9 million of that and fix the bathrooms in that stadium. That'd be great. But I'm excited. I'm ready to get out there. We can run with anybody. We can put points on anybody. Are we going to have opportunistic turnovers? Are we going to be able to slow or stop, bend, don't break, that kind of thing? We didn't get into it in the Birdland segment, but they got a really good kicker. He's 100% on field goals and extra points outside of his one kick of over 50 yards. He missed that kick this year. Now, his longest field goal other than that was only 34 yards. So I don't know where his leg runs out. It's somewhere between 34 and 50. That's a big range. But if we're going to do this bend, don't break, we better stop him at the 25, give ourselves a chance. Let hill position. Strike early, strike fast, not get out of this. I'm hoping, like Locke said, this team doesn't know what it doesn't know. You got a bunch of older players and you got a bunch of young guns. There's really nothing in the middle. They're kind of bare in those later years there. So hopefully they don't know any better. They just go up there, play ball, and shock the world. Crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened. Until next time, here's to wishing all is well under the shell.